In front of the police, he pressed the pistol against his own head, with his brother and wife standing right behind him. And the reason for all of this was simply because of a single sentence uttered by his daughter.
Couldn't you just stay dead?
Isabel, why would you say that?
Mom and Uncle Johnny say things all the time.
Enough!
At that moment, Sam's world of conviction crumbled into pieces, as the overwhelming despair tightened his throat and caused the surrounding air to freeze solid. He never anticipated that the sanctuary he guarded with his life, this very bond, could be so incredibly fragile. He sat alone, sinking into the bedroom sofa, with a level of composure that was bone-chillingly eerie. His wife, Grace, wanted to step forward to offer some comfort, but looking at him, she simply didn't know where to begin.
What am I supposed to do now, Grace?
Grace remained speechless, fearing that any word she uttered might inflict an irreversible secondary trauma. However, within that dead silence, the dam Sam used to maintain his sanity had already burst. No longer suppressing his emotions, he grabbed a heavy iron pipe and marched straight into the kitchen.
You know what I did to get back to you?
No.
You know what I did to fucking get back to you? You bitch! You know how I suffered? He suffered because of you! And what have you done to my house and my kids, Grace? You're my brother! You're my brother in my house!
Sam, please.
I love you, Grace!
These are girls, please.
You know how much I love you!
Before he could even finish speaking, Sam's eyes were already bloodshot, and his inner defenses had completely collapsed. He began to vent his misplaced agony in a futile manner by smashing everything in the house. Just then, his brother Tommy walked in. He opened his arms, attempting to use a hug to quell his older brother's fury. The embrace seemed to work, and Sam's heavy breathing gradually steadied. However, the sudden wail of police sirens from outside instantly shattered this fragile peace. Sam charged out with his gun, entering a tense standoff with the police. Facing the demands to surrender, his emotions spiraled further out of control as he ignored his brother's cries and resolutely turned the muzzle toward his own skull. Sam was originally a highly decorated soldier who possessed what appeared to be a perfect family, complete with a beautiful wife and 2 adorable daughters. However, a deployment order to the battlefields of Afghanistan shattered this tranquility. Knowing full well the danger of this mission, he wrote a suicide note before departing and solemnly entrusted it to his commanding officer, instructing that if he should fall for his country, the letter be delivered to his wife. Prior to his departure, he even personally went to the prison to pick up his recently released brother Tommy, hoping for one complete family reunion before they parted ways. Yet, in the eyes of their father, who was also a veteran, the fates of the 2 brothers were as different as night and day. The eldest son, Sam, was the pride of the nation and the glory of the family, while the younger son, Tommy, with his criminal record, was nothing more than an indelible stain on his life.
Why don't you try mimicking your brother, huh? For change?
Dad. This food is great, Elsie. Thank you.
Compared to what?
Other food.
Prison food?
Tommy!
The father left the dinner table with a look of disappointment toward his younger son, and Tommy, his pride wounded, chose to flee as well. Witnessing all of this, Sam could only remain silent. Shortly thereafter, he stepped onto the soil of Afghanistan, but the cruelty of fate far exceeded his expectations, because during a mission, the helicopter he was in was shot down, leaving no survivors on board. A few days later, the visit of 2 military officers pushed this family completely into the abyss. The innocence of the daughters stood in sharp contrast to the moment Grace's expression froze. As a military wife, she was all too familiar with the protocol for announcing a soldier's death in action. She had the children step away so she could face this most brutal moment alone. She leaned on her memories to endure an entire night without sleep. And Tommy, returning late at night, broke the dead silence, being unaware of his brother's tragic news and misinterpreting the grief and silence on Grace's face as a reprimand for borrowing the car and returning late, which caused his own expression to darken.
Sam's dead. They crashed.
What are you talking about?
He's dead, Tommy. Come in.
The sudden news of the tragedy left Tommy's mind completely blank. He couldn't connect the reality before him with the memories of just a few days ago, as the warm images of the reunion dinner held for his welcome home felt like they were just yesterday, only to turn into a final dinner, separated by life and death in the blink of an eye. He knew he had a sordid past and wasn't exactly a good man, but in his heart, the brotherhood he shared with Sam was the only undeniably genuine thing in existence.
Why'd you let him go over there, Grace?
Tommy!
For what now, huh?
At Sam's funeral the next day, a blanket of sorrow enveloped everyone. Whether it was the young daughters, the grieving wife, the aging parents, or the guilt-ridden brother, the heavy weight of loss pressed down on everyone's hearts. As the ceremony concludes, Sam's commander silently walks up to Grace and hands her a letter. It was the suicide note Sam had entrusted to him before leaving, and now that the hero's soul had not returned, this final sentiment could only be received by her. On the other side, Tommy saw his father repeatedly pouring alcohol down his throat, looking dazed. As they prepared to head back, he stepped forward, attempting to take the car keys from his father's hand.
Why don't you get a job, earn some money, buy yourself a car, and then you can drive wherever the hell you want?
Give me the keys. That's what you think. It's got nothing to do with you, right?
What are you saying to me?
Hank.
You never had any guts.
Oh, and you did. That's why you screamed at Mom every f***ing night. That's why you drove us drunk. I'll hang in there, Marines.
Don't.
That's why you put all that shit in his head.
Come on.
Huh?
Give me the keys.
Here you go, I'm walking.
However, fate was about to play the most cruel joke imaginable. Sam had not actually perished on the battlefield, as he and another subordinate named Joe had become prisoners of war, held in a dark cellar. This place discarded all the illusions of heroism, offering no ingenious prison breaks or indestructible camaraderie, but only hunger, cold, and endless psychological torment. The enemy held their most fatal weakness, photos of their families, using them as leverage to try and pry their tightly shut mouths open. To break their will, they were forced to witness the unaliving of their comrades, a bloody scene so horrific that Joe was too terrified to even look. Under the daily grind of torture, their mental and physical states had both pushed toward the absolute limit. Until that day, when the enemy pressed a red-hot iron rod onto Joe, and his piercing screams echoed through the execution ground. As the commanding officer, Sam watched his soldier endure the torture while being completely powerless, feeling as though his own heart were being carved out by a knife. But the enemy's cruelty went far beyond that, as they shoved an iron pipe into Sam's hands, commanding him to personally end the life of Joe, who had already been tortured beyond recognition. Faced with a brother in arms who had faced life and death with him, how could he possibly commit such a deed?
Pick it up.
تو فامیل داری؟
Your family.
ها؟ میخوای آنها را باز ببینی؟
I want to see them again.
میخوای زنده بانی؟
Pick up the pipe! Kill him or I will kill you! Kill him! Kill him or I will cut his head off! Kill him! Kill him!
At the crossroads of life and death, on one side was the brother who went through hell with him, and on the other was the family waiting far away. The moment his mental defenses completely collapsed, he chose to survive, the price of which was personally terminating his comrade's life. This decision to seek survival in a desperate situation created an irreconcilable conflict with the military principles he once believed in. His body survived, but his moral anchor had snapped. He was repeatedly tortured by survivor's guilt, believing he was a sinner who didn't deserve anything beautiful. The image of the hero once admired by many had long ago turned to dust in his heart, leaving only the shadow of a killer and a coward. Shortly after, the rescue troops breached the cage as the enemy scattered, and that video camera was reduced to fragments amidst the smoke. Sam regained his freedom, yet he knew deep down that this liberty was paved with the very flesh and blood of his brother in arms. He endured the aftermath of the war with a shattered heart, driven only by the singular thought of returning home just to catch a glimpse of his wife and daughters. Meanwhile, Tommy fled to a bar once again to seek a moment of escape, because he could no longer withstand his father's constant belittling and humiliation. However, when the alcohol clouded his mind, he realized he was penniless and utterly unable to settle the bill. Left with no choice, he had to have Grace, who was still immersed in the agonizing pain of losing her husband, come to bail him out.
How much does he owe you?
$47 and 2 broken glasses.
So how
Ready?
about we say...
Come on, Sierra. Now.
Get your hands off the bar.
Don't try to ignore it. That thing's huge.
How about we say 50?
Yeah,
That
I don't
thing's
care
huge,
about the
Grace.
money. Just get him out of here. I'm gonna call the
Come
cops.
on.
I'm done.
Tommy, I have 2 little girls sleeping in a parking lot at 3 in the morning. You think you're funny?
The intoxicated Tommy was instantly snapped back to reality by a sharp and cold reprimand from Grace. Upon returning home, he helped carry the sleeping children back to their rooms and spent the night huddled on the sofa. The next morning, he was awakened by his niece's playful shouting and followed them into the kitchen in a daze. Not long after, Grace came downstairs, followed by the children's grandfather who stepped through the door. After the children left, Hank finally spoke up and apologized to Tommy for his loss of control on the day of the funeral.
I was a little stupid the other day.
Yeah,
It was okay to drive.
I know.
Tommy didn't hold a grudge. As a son, he understood the depth of his father's suffering. Sam's death was an equally unbearable blow to both of them. The two sat in silence as memories flooded back like a surging tide. Hank finally could no longer suppress his grief and broke down in tears once again.
Cut my throat to bring him back, Dad.
While Sam was struggling for survival amidst the flames of war and the confines of his cage, Tommy was back home taking on responsibility in a different way. He became the glue that held this broken family together, and his 2 nieces gradually grew to accept this uncle. As a soldier, Sam's way of parenting was naturally strict, and coupled with his long-term deployments, the emotional bond between father and daughters was inherently thin. Tommy's presence filled this void because he was gentler and more willing to listen, making the children naturally more inclined to be close to him. However, in her heart, Grace could never truly accept the departure of her husband. One day, Grace returned home to find notes taped to the floor, and following the arrows into the kitchen, she was stunned by what she saw. The kitchen had been completely renovated, and then the rest of the family emerged from the shadows. It turned out that today was her birthday. Not only was Tommy there, but Sam's parents and the families of Sam's comrades had all come just for her. Despite this, she still couldn't bring herself to smile, though she knew life had to go on. To share Grace's burden, Tommy took on the responsibility of looking after the children, especially Isabel. As the elder sister, she had been told to yield to her younger sister Maggie since she was small, which caused Isabel to develop an inferiority complex, believing she wasn't cute or good enough. Tommy, however, told her that there was no distinction of who was better or worse, and proved this through his actual actions. He gave Isabel more attention, making her feel a level of importance she had never received from her father, Sam. Time slipped away quietly like flowing water, and the distance between Tommy and Grace narrowed without them even realizing it. In the past, Grace was full of contempt for the newly released Tommy, viewing him as nothing more than a worthless thug. Yet after Sam's passing, she began to re-examine Tommy and discovered those shining qualities she had previously overlooked, especially in how he cared for the children. Living under the same roof, a subtle and complex emotion began to sprout between them. But the moment Sam's shadow surfaced in their minds, they both snapped back to their senses and immediately suppressed their inner impulses. Grace awkwardly fled the room to clear her head in the night breeze, while Tommy remained inside, consumed by guilt and agony as he wept uncontrollably. A moment later, he wiped away his tears, put on his jacket, and walked out of the house without looking back. Grace lay in bed with her thoughts in a tangle, tossing and turning, unable to fall asleep for a long time. This day, Tommy was in the yard helping his 2 nieces build a snowman, their laughter echoing through the winter air. Standing by the window, Grace watched this heartwarming scene, a long absent sense of contentment appearing on her face. However, at that very moment, a sudden phone call shattered the tranquility. She picked up the phone, her expression instantly freezing as she was rendered speechless by shock. The news from the other end of the line was something she could hardly believe. Sam was actually still alive. As the plane slowly descended, Sam walked out of the hatch to the military's formal welcome. Grace and their 2 daughters rushed forward immediately, pulling him into a tight embrace. This reunion of losing and finding him again was nothing short of a miracle from heaven to them. Standing not far away, Tommy felt as though his heart was being torn apart, as joy, guilt, and envy intertwined, leaving him utterly lost. After returning home, Sam saw the kitchen his brother had renovated and heard his daughter's praise for Tommy. Subsequently, he lies on the bed he has been away from for so long, letting his wife and daughters nestle close to him. This should be the happiest moment of his life, but his mind is haunted by the vision of the subordinate he unalived with his own hands. Painful memories surged like a tide, nearly drowning him. Yet in front of his family, he could only force a smile and pretend everything was normal. But he knew in his heart that he was no longer the same Sam from before. He built a thick wall in his heart to shut everyone out, even locking the door when he shaved because he didn't want anyone near him.
I locked that door.
It's broken.
Seeing the crisscrossing scars on her husband's back, Grace's heart felt as though it were being pierced by needles. She tentatively tried to embrace Sam from behind, wanting to use her warmth to soothe the pain he had endured. However, Sam abruptly dodged her with a look of impatience and even a hint of resistance. Facing this man who was both familiar and a stranger, Grace could only turn and leave in frustration, her heart filled with loss and confusion. Hank also noticed his son's abnormality and tried to find a way to offer some guidance.
You okay?
Yeah.
After I got back from Nam, I couldn't talk to your mother. I guess I took it out on you and Tommy, I don't know why. Well, look, if you ever want to talk, let me know.
His father's words did indeed touch Sam, and those hidden pains seemed to find a slight outlet at that moment. However, when his gaze fell upon his brother, wife, and daughters laughing and being intimate together, his own solitary figure sitting aside seemed exceptionally lonely. A complex surge of emotion hit him, and he actually felt like an uninvited guest, as if this home no longer needed him. A sudden thought flashed through his mind, making it impossible for him to remain calm. When Tommy walked toward him, he finally couldn't help but ask the question.
Grace is something, huh? Did you fuck her?
What? You kidding?
I'd understand. Thought I was dead.
Stop it.
Tommy, I could forgive you.
What's going on in your head? What's making you think that?
You guys just look like two teenagers in love out there.
All right.
I mean, you can't deny that.
Facing his brother's unquestionable gaze, Tommy was momentarily speechless, not knowing how to respond. He indeed had feelings for Grace, and in a moment of lost control, they had shared a kiss, but that was all. They had maintained the final boundary. Sam returns home, eyeing the kitchen his brother renovated with a complicated mix of emotions. Turning around, a strange child suddenly enters his field of vision. He looks toward the sound and sees a woman talking to Grace. At that moment, Sam is struck like a bolt from the blue. He recognizes her as the widow of Joe, the very subordinate he unalived with his own hands.
Ooh, where are you going, huh? Sam,
Hi.
did you see him die?
No.
Did you hear anything? I mean, was he on his own? He was brave. I know that.
Those words are nothing short of a silent trial for Sam. He carries the weight of a reunion bought with the destruction of another family, and this survivor's guilt is destined to haunt him for the rest of his life. In the dead of night, he sits alone in the room, lining up teacups in perfect rows over and over again, as if this is the only way to bring a shred of order to the chaotic battlefield in his mind. The sound of a dog barking outside instantly jolts him from his trance, his hand instinctively reaching for a weapon, while his eyes fill with hypervigilance. Grace watches all of this, yet she chooses to remain silent. Eventually, when the internal pressure reaches its boiling point, he can no longer endure the torment. So he drives away from home, heading straight for the military base.
Want to go back, sir?
How's the counseling going?
Everything pretty good there, and
How's the family?
I can't be there, sir.
Yeah?
They don't understand. Nobody understands.
He thought he could find a sense of belonging by returning to the troops, but the commanding officer's keen gaze makes him feel like there is nowhere to hide. He is tactfully invited to go back home, under the pretext of needing more time for conditioning. He tries his best to integrate into a long overdue family dinner, but his daughter actually asks about her uncle right in front of him.
When is Uncle Tommy coming?
He's coming soon, sweetie. Okay? He wants to play with you.
This sentence completely breaks Sam, and losing all control, he slams the table in rage and locks himself in the storage room. When Grace follows him in, he looks up and, with a raspy voice, demands to know if she is already together with Tommy.
We kissed, that's it. I missed you. I thought you were dead. I couldn't get out of bed.
I think you're Tommy.
Here, Sam.
Later, Sam drives alone to the cemetery of his fallen comrade. In truth, he knows deep down that it isn't that he truly distrusts Grace, but rather the guilt of personally ending his brother-in-arm's life is like a rope tightening around his neck, making it impossible to breathe. What he finds even harder to let go of is the fact that he only earned the chance to return home by stepping over his comrade's body. Therefore, he subconsciously magnifies the situation between Grace and Tommy to give his anger an outlet and his avoidance a grand excuse. Yet when he sees his two innocent daughters, a surge of strength rises within him. He tries hard to tear through the gloom surrounding him, attempting to approach them and talk to them like he used to, hoping to find the gentle father he once was. However, when Isabel sees him walking over, she actually takes several steps back, her eyes filled with terror. Though his heart feels like it's being carved by a knife, Sam forces a smile and tenderly tells the children that everything will be all right. Grace stands by the window, silently watching this scene. The two children sensibly try their best to cooperate with their father, but the moment Sam turns to leave, Isabel can no longer hold it together as tears well up in her eyes, and she nearly cries out loud. Back in the room, Sam and Grace embrace each other tightly, as if only each other's warmth can dispel those lingering nightmares. At that moment, they both think that things are finally going to move in a positive direction. However, things do not improve as they had imagined. That evening, while the family gathers for dinner, the conflict surfaces once again. Today is Maggie's birthday, and the grandfather has prepared gifts early on. When Isabel goes to answer the door, Tommy arrives. But to everyone's surprise, he has brought a strange woman with him. Isabel's face instantly darkens, and she is clearly very unhappy. In reality, Tommy did this entirely to dispel his brother's suspicions and prove that things between him and Grace are strictly honorable. Furthermore, he has only known this woman for less than 2 hours, and this is the first time he has brought a so-called girlfriend home. It was supposed to be a warm birthday banquet, but Isabel keeps causing trouble. During the days after her father was reported gone, it was Tommy who accompanied them, and over time, she naively thought her uncle would end up with her mother. So when she sees Tommy bringing another woman, her heart is filled with sadness. She intentionally holds a balloon, repeatedly squeezing out piercing noises, specifically to interrupt the woman while she speaks. Out of politeness, Sam stops Isabel time and time again, but Isabel acts as if she doesn't hear him. Finally, Sam can no longer take it, as he violently slams the table and loses his temper at Isabel.
Enough!
Couldn't you just stay dead?
Isabel!
You're just Maggie's mom would rather sleep with Uncle Tommy than you.
Isabel! Why would you say that?
Mom and Uncle Tommy have sex all the time!
Enough!
On the way back, Sam remains in a deathly silence while Grace sits beside him, knowing that this oppressive calm is a precursor to the coming disaster. After arriving home, Isabel apologizes to her mother with a heart full of guilt. Grace presses her eldest daughter on why she would publicly say things that weren't true at the table. Isabel responds with a sob, saying she loathes the father in front of her and wishes it were Uncle Tommy who was with them. Maggie chimes in to agree. Grace tries her best to suppress her inner pain, promising her daughters that their father will gradually recover. Sam stands alone in the yard, his eyes vigilantly patrolling the surroundings like a soldier on a mission, and no one knows what he will do next. Grace watches him through the window, realizing that danger is approaching, and hurriedly contacts Elsie for help. Meanwhile, Tommy is about to drive to his brother's house to clarify the misunderstanding in person, ignoring his father's attempts to stop him. Elsie takes Grace's call, her expression turning grave in an instant as she strides over to Hank and firmly declares that things have completely spiraled out of control and the police must be called immediately. At this very moment, Sam enters the kitchen with a heavy iron pipe in hand. Seeing this, Grace is overwhelmed by a wave of terror, and her entire body begins to tremble violently.
You know what I did to get back to you?
No.
You know what I did? The f*** back to you! You I love you, Grace!
These are girls, please.
You know how much I love you!
As if he has lost all reason, Sam swings the iron pipe to destroy everything in sight, screaming foul words at Grace. Just then, Tommy pushes the door open and enters. Sam's movements stop abruptly, and he briefly regains a shred of clarity. Tommy steps forward slowly, softly calling out, "Brother," and then pulls him into a tight embrace. In that moment, everyone thinks the storm is finally about to subside. However, the sound of sirens from the distance shatters the brief peace. Sam's body instantly goes rigid as he violently pushes Tommy away and draws a pistol from his waist, pointing it directly at his brother. Grace is terrified and quickly pushes the two children into a room, locking the door. Tommy raises his hands, his voice trembling as he explains to his brother that he didn't call the police. Before he can finish, the police cars have already stopped outside. Sam walks out the door with his gun, and the sight of the armed man causes the atmosphere to become incredibly tense. Tommy and Grace follow closely behind, trying to control the situation. The police opposite them raise their weapons, sternly commanding Sam to drop his firearm immediately.
You gonna shoot me? Ah! Sam! Fire! Shoot me! Fire! Shoot me! Shoot me! Come on!
Jesus, shut the up! This is a family matter! Shut up! Shut up! He's my brother! Just stop for a second! Just let me talk to him! He's my brother! Give him a minute.
Sam!
He turns to look at Grace, his eyes filled with despair and struggle. Tommy wants to find out what exactly is going on, but Sam only speaks in a low voice.
I'm drowning, Tommy.
The two brothers' gazes meet in the air, and the silence lasts for several seconds. Immediately after, Sam throws the pistol to the ground. The police rush forward to subdue him together and place him in handcuffs. Looking at the completely broken Sam, Grace cannot stop her tears, weeping so hard she can barely speak. Tommy stands there frozen, watching the police take his brother into the patrol car. The two daughters inside have already huddled together in fear, not daring to make a sound. When all the commotion settles into silence, Tommy stands alone on the street for an unknown amount of time. And Grace, finally, with trembling hands, opens the letter Sam left before he went away.
My darling Grace, if you're reading this, it means I didn't make it back. Nothing is certain in this life. The only thing I know for sure is that I love you and our girls. That is the only thing I know.
Soon, Tommy receives a phone call from his brother.
Hello?
Hey, Tommy. Sam.
Hey.
I was just thinking about you.
You alright?
Yeah, I'm good. Just calling. You're my brother, Tommy.
The next day, Grace arrives at the place where Sam is being held. According to the regulations, Sam must undergo mandatory psychological treatment. However, Grace knows in her heart that the reason her husband is torturing himself like this is because there must be an untold experience hidden behind it. She asks him over and over again. Finally, under Grace's near-begging interrogation, Sam finally speaks the long-suppressed secret.
I killed him. I killed Joe Willis. I don't know who said, only the dead have seen the end of war. I have seen the end of war. The question is, can I live again?
When a person returns from hell, what he brings back is not a medal of victory, but an everlasting wound on his soul. Sam's gun did not eventually pull the trigger, but that bullet had already pierced his heart the moment he personally ended his comrade's life. He asks Grace, "Can I ever be alive again?" This question is also a trial for everyone. When a person betrays his own faith to protect his loved ones, is he a hero or a sinner? We always think that being alive is a victory, but Sam uses his broken soul to tell us that some forms of survival are heavier than death, and some returns are lonelier than eternal partings. He stands before his family, yet it's as if they are separated by a vast abyss. He lies in a warm bed, yet his heart is still imprisoned in that cold cellar. The smoke of war has long since dissipated, but the trial of conscience has only just begun. True courage is not taking out an enemy on the battlefield, but choosing to lay down your weapon at the edge of a breakdown and admitting your own vulnerability. The moment Sam threw his gun on the ground, he finally ceased to be that invincible soldier and became a regular human being in need of saving. His tears are not a sign of weakness, but the beginning of a rebirth. Love is never a perfect redemption, but rather supporting each other while trudging through the mud. As Grace reads that unsent suicide note, she finally understands that her husband never truly left her. Tommy stands on the street as the police car drives away, finally understanding that some responsibilities run deeper than blood. In this shattered family, no one is innocent, yet no one is a sinner. They are simply a group of ordinary people struggling in a desperate situation, trying in their clumsy ways to hold on to one another. The end of war is not on the battlefield, but in the remaining years of every survivor. Some say that only the dead have seen the end of war, but Sam's story tells us that the living are the true warriors who must confront the war for the rest of their lives. They must coexist with the trauma, reconcile with the guilt, and relearn how to breathe every time they wake from a midnight dream. The hardest thing in this world is not facing an enemy's muzzle, but facing the abyss within one's own heart. When Sam finally speaks the words, "I killed him," it is not a confession of guilt, but the first step towards self-salvation. Because only by acknowledging the darkness can one embrace the light again. Only by accepting the brokenness can one rebuild wholeness. Life is never a black and white trial, but a series of difficult choices made in the gray areas. Sam traded his comrade's life for the chance to return home, a choice that can neither be forgiven nor forgotten. But it is this very unbearable weight that makes him understand better than anyone. True heroism is not the courage to kill, but the courage to choose to live on after the killing. On that night when the sirens wailed, Sam did not die. He chose the most difficult path, starting over with all his sins and pain. This is not a fairy tale about redemption, but a truth about human nature. We are all imperfect survivors, looking for the possibility of reconstruction amidst the ruins. The war can end, but healing is the work of a lifetime. Grace, Tommy, and his 2 daughters will spend the rest of their lives walking by Sam's side on this long and arduous road home. This companionship is not pity, but the deepest form of love. May all those who return from hell find a moment to relearn how to breathe. May all shattered souls see a faint but steady light at the end of the darkness, because being alive is, in itself, an answer.